this computer.
Is that why you look nice?
I actually got a wedding. I'm going up to Dallas for my cousin's wedding this weekend, so I had to get a haircut. My parents, they wouldn't let me through the door looking like a hippie. Cool. All right. Well, gonna get started here. So I guess I know y'all mentioned in the Slack kind of like what are we doing? So Roam Research is like a note-taking system, like Evernote. If you're familiar with Notion, it's very similar to Obsidian, which is I think actually free. So Roam isn't free. I believe it's $15 a month. If you pay monthly, then there's like obviously I think it's like a little bit less if you pay for the yearly. But they do have a student discount, and I have a link for that. So you guys can apply for that. And a couple of like Rocky's here, she's gotten it. I think Lester, he may or may not be coming. He's another guy that was in our cohort. And he got the student discount as well. So go ahead and share my screen. Cool. Okay, so this is Roam. And I'm just going to go over a couple quick things before we really dive in. So a couple of things. First, this is the daily page. So this is daily notes. And so this is sort of like where your main area is going to be. And so a daily page, I basically will come in here and just sort of, if I'm importing something in, which I'll get into, like if I see a cool tweet, I'll just throw it in here. I thought that was awesome. I love Aurelius Borealis, or however you say it. I thought that was a cool tweet by Tim Urban. Those are all imports from different things. So that's the daily notes page. And actually there, you can kind of see, it goes back. And also like, this is to show you too, it's like, I feel like a lot of people, when they talk about this kind of stuff, they give off the vibe as if like, this is what I do every single day. Like, no, I don't do this every day. So, and I'll get into that as well. Also real quick, this, if I hit shift and click on this, it will open this page over here on the side. And so this is like a side page. And I just wanted to highlight this real quick because another cool feature is everything is CSS. This is actually like a web app from Chrome that's just running. They don't actually have a desktop app yet, but I think it's in the works. So I like put this CSS in and I can change this. And for the presentation, I'm gonna keep it in white, but I just wanna show y'all. This is very similar looking to something we are all very familiar with, which is this, right? So it's kind of like the same environment. I think that's important to sort of highlight when you're thinking, right? You're kind of thinking in these environments. So coding and then like actual thinking are both very similar types of thinking. So it's kind of cool to like have similar spaces where you're kind of doing similar things. So let's switch back to the light. Cool. And let's dive in. So on the side here, I'm just going to kind of have the outline, and then I'm just going to kind of be going through everything. Basically kind of how I set this up was over the last month or so, any idea I had about Roam, I just kind of brain dump on my daily page and just tagged it with this little Roam project. And is there a question? Sorry. No. Good. Okay. And so that's sort of how I was able to kind of set this up. And then honestly, like yesterday and today, I kind of just went through and kind of pieced this all together. So if it's terrible, that's why. If it's awesome, then like, that's also why. All right, so first I want to start off, when someone asks me what is Roam Research, my general response is how much time do you have? So this is what my response would be given ample time. And I'm gonna start with a warning. So this is a live demonstration of my actual Roam database. There may be personal information, ideas, or thoughts, experiments that are sensitive or offensive. Keep in mind, I am ostensibly giving you a peek into my second brain. While I'd like to think I generally do not think about offensive things, I'm just covering my ass technically, so fair warning. Now for some rules of engagement. If you have like a conceptual question about like, all right, why are you thinking about that this way? Or why does Roam help in that way? Stop me and ask me that. If it's more technical in terms of like, wait, how do you do that? Write that down and save it for later, because that'll be good for like the Q&A. So this is kind of a joke, but obviously like this is my TED Talk. A lot of these ideas are my own and a lot are not. And so I think that's like kind of an interesting thing to think about which is like, are our ideas our own, or are we just borrowing them? And I love this quote by Tesla. That's my brain is only a receiver in the universe. There's a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I've not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. So something to let ruminate in your brain for a little bit. So Lester, and I think he's here. So that's cool. What up, Lester? Welcome back to Austin. Glad you're here. Back in town. He tweeted this out, and I think it kind of is a perfect sort of meta level encapsulation of what Rome research does. And Rome research allows you to map your multidimensional nonlinear thinking into your physical world in a frictionless form without ever losing your thoughts and transition from thinking to writing. Converted to friends already, Rome cult. So if that doesn't make sense to you right now, my intent for this entire presentation is by the end of it, hopefully that will make sense. So if I did well and that makes sense by the end of this, then good presentation. At least that's my metric. So when you get a new video game, are you the type of person that's just so excited you just trying to dive right in and just start playing? Are you the type of person that just sits there and reads the instruction manual? Or are you the type of person that does both? And the reason I'm kind of bringing this up is you kind of need to be both in Rome. Like you need to spend the time in Rome, just like in coding, where you're learning a bit of the fundamentals, then you're going around and playing with that. Then you're coming back and you're learning a little bit more advanced, going around and playing with that. Rome is a little bit similar in that way. And I have this idea, it's called the Goldilocks Principle. And so I'll get into sort of what this is. As I'm talking about this, I'm just gonna be naturally going through Rome and like, cause this is how kind of my brain works. So this is like, yeah, you're basically getting a representation of what my brain is doing. If you've ever had a conversation with me and I'm like, oh yeah, that reminds me of this, that reminds me of that. So Goldilocks Principle, it's a principle that everyone's familiar with, right? Too hot, too cold, just right. But it's actually a principle that is applied and observed in multiple areas. So economics, business, cognitive science, astrobiology, medicine, software development, communication, mathematics, statistics, and actually in particular in relation to bias and variance. So actually, this is kind of cool. If I create that page, if I just bracket that, oh, cool. So I bracketed that. And what that does is if there's not a page, it creates a page. But there already was a page. So if I click on that page, I can kind of see like some connections there, but we'll get more into that. So yeah, so I guess we're ready, or why I love Rome. So in order to understand why I love Rome so much, you got to understand a little bit about me. I'm actually really lazy. I just get like these random spurts of creative energy that like, if I ride, it's good, but most of the time, like I don't ride it very well. So like I said, like most of the time when I'm reading, I'm kind of lazy and I don't necessarily like to highlight all the time because I just know like my habits have been in the past, like even on a Kindle, if I'm highlighting, like I never go back and review that, right? Like who actually is doing that? Well, people who are using Rome are doing that. So I'm sure also you guys are sort of familiar with the concept of analysis paralysis. I thought there was like a more technical term, but I went to the actual Wikipedia and it is just overthinking. So, but there's obviously like some anxiety that kind of is associated with that. Indecision, I guess. So I kind of was just brain dumping, and these are different thoughts and ideas that I had that I kind of just pulled up here. So the beauty of thinking and working in Rome is Rome eliminates my anxiety. I know I can either just save an article for later, casually skim an article and highlight key parts that I want to double tap later, or actively read and practice the various levels of reading. And if you're not familiar with that, I have a couple links here, which I'm not going to go to right now, but FS Blog, if you're familiar, Shane Parrish and the people over there are doing wonderful, wonderful work. And I would highly recommend checking it out because it's shaped a lot of the way I think about things in terms of like meta stuff, mental models, that kind of thing. So Rome is a safety net, a one-stop shop for my thoughts and ideas. And so you see these are highlighted here. So kind of anytime I have an idea, and if it's really like a project that I want to work to, something related with like areas of interest, I can just kind of do that and tag it. And so I have an idea. So like indoor basketball, football, rock climbing, gym, incorporating AI, like a little ambitious, but new ad blocker, an app on your phone that scrambles data so they cannot keep predicting what you're doing. So kind of an interesting idea, I guess. But this is just like me brain dumping and just throwing stuff, see what sticks, capturing it. So then later when I'm thinking about these things and have like new ways of perspectives of thinking about it, I can come back and it stacks up. So back to here, thoughts are the same. So I keep talking about this anxiety and forgetting, and that's the thing. It's like I just always have this fear of being forgetful. And actually, I'll dive into this a little bit later. But I have these tags here, and so the reason I have that is like I can click on that, go check to see any other areas in my database where I might have anxiety, like tagged like that. And we'll see right here. I kind of been talking about that as well, but we'll get to that in just a sec. So I don't know if you guys are, maybe some of y'all are familiar with Diego Forte and his Second Brain. It's a book that he's writing that's coming out. But a personal knowledge management system is basically what Rome is. So that is what I would say Rome is ultimately. So kind of a random tangent, but this ties in later. Fortune's Formula is one of my favorite books. I have it right here. This is what I brought to show and tell when we were in our cohort. I read it when I was probably about 17 years old, got introduced to these ideas, Claude Shannon, information theory, John Kelly and Kelly's criterion, Edward Thorpe, and y'all probably saw 21 or heard about Beat the Dealer. And so he implemented the Kelly criterion in Blackjack, and they made that movie about him. So, so like I have this book in here, right? And I have notes and highlights that I have. And then as you can see, I've kind of gone through this book and like actually clicked on things. So like Bernoulli's, right? So that relates to stats. Kelly criterion. If I click on that, I can see all the different things that are connected to that in my database. If I'm like working on something, like Kelly criterion is going to be, I mean, I want to create like a gambling model, right? Or a stock trading model. Kelly criterion is something that I'm definitely going to want to be very familiar with because it's a way of like managing your risk. So yeah, so let's get into the basics. So what is this guy talking about? So this is the creator of Realm, and he tweeted this, and I thought it was a good tweet. And you don't need to learn anything besides writing a few words you think are important in these brackets and hitting tab. The rest is just folks getting excited into building on that foundation. Very easy gateway. Many very capable people never feel need to go beyond. So basically, everything I've been showing you is a page, and everything that is I'm clicking on is inside of one of these brackets or the equivalent of one of these brackets. So we have brackets, hashtags, attributes. So that's brackets, right? There's a hashtag in brackets. So if I want to have like 2 words in a hashtag form, I can do it like that. This is the hashtag and this is that. So like if I click on that, that takes me there. So because this is Chrome based, a lot of the shortcuts in Chrome work. So control open bracket will take me back, and then like control close bracket will take me forward. So, but I'm showing like that's the same page as this, same area. They go the same thing. And you might be thinking like, Justin, why would you ever do one versus the other? That's a good question. I kind of like to think of it, if I'm writing about something, I want to tag something that's in line. So if I wanted to like compounding, right? If that's in line, I'll do the double bracket by highlighting it and putting it like that. Then if I wanted to say, this compounding sort of reminds me of finance or whatever, I come over here to the end of it and I can just add finance. If I already had a page created, you would see that there, but I don't. So I do that and it will automatically create the page. So that's brackets, hashtags. Attributes is this. And so this is pretty cool. Same thing though, same principle. This is just a page. So I go to this page, what is morning? So one thing I'll show you all real quick is you kind of see these shortcuts over here on the side. I have my calendar, so which is cool. I can come in here and there's my calendar. I have, it's called Iframe is how you sort of get there. And I can just import my calendar in here. Inbox, I'll get into that later. I showed you ideas, there's thoughts. Here's to do. So if ever I'm on my daily page or any page whatsoever, and I just hit Command Enter, it'll just do that. And then I'll say like, undo this. And then if I hit Command Enter again, it'll just be done. And then so that'll be done. But that's how I would do to do. So to do, what do I need to do tonight? Eat something. Haven't eaten anything today. Cool. So you'll see that that's there. Any to do that I have in my database is automatically linked to this page. So you can see I have a couple to do stacking up, but we'll get to it. And then templates. So 5-minute journal is this kind of cool journal. That's like a gratitude journal. So you just sort of wake up in the morning and you think of like 5 things you're grateful for, or 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things make today awesome, daily affirmations, that kind of thing. The power of the attributes is so it's kind of more advanced, but you can kind of see here, like I can put a 7 there and a 7 there if I'm feeling like good, or like I can also, then I can aggregate all these things together and kind of see like, what's my mood average for this week, or what's my mood average for this month. So then if like, you know, if I'm in a weird high stress situation, particularly like job hunting, right? I can actually go back and sort of look at some times in my life where it's like, oh, when was I at a 7 or an 8? And like, who was I around? What was I appreciating? And can I sort of recreate some of those and recapture some of those things in my life? So pretty cool little feature there. Back to the basics. So pages. So I've introduced a sidebar, or side page, I should say. That's this right here. I've talked about linked references, but I haven't talked about unlinked references. So linked references are just that. When I go to Kelly Criterion, you see this right here, 8 linked references. And so these are all the things that are linked to Kelly Criterion. Then we have this thing down here. Now, I'm not sure Kelly Criterion will have a bunch or not, but this is unlinked references. So anywhere in my database that Kelly Criterion is popping up, it's going to show up down here. So if I wanted to link all of these, I could automatically do it. Or if I want to go by like one by one and kind of do that. But this is one of the most powerful things in Realm, and how like you can really just take advantage of making connections and sort of building on this knowledge that you're accumulating. And it's just sort of sitting there in your brain and you're not recalling it and accessing it. So it's sort of just not like your ability to, you don't really forget, your ability to recall sort of becomes more and more stretched, right? Because search isn't in until we get quantum. That's a different conversation. So this helps with that, right? I have a lot of these thoughts and things that I've had in my head at my fingertips. And that's one of the most powerful aspects of Realm. And then, so much like writing code, there's so many different ways to go about doing things in Realm. And so best way to do it is just iterate, like figure out some basics out, go play around, figure some cool things out for yourself, then iterate and improve. No different than coding and life in general. Realm rewards structured curiosity. So if you are a curious person, then Realm is definitely for you. If you don't like getting your hands a little bit dirty and getting into the nitty gritty, Realm still works, but you just won't like be capturing the full benefit of what you can do with Realm. So obviously also like maybe what I'm doing right now seems like a lot, and it is a lot probably, but you guys are used to it. You're in a data science immersive. So the friction of using Realm is part of what makes it so great for me. And it's because it keeps me fluid and flowing, but actually like makes me work and think hard enough to like make those things sticky in my mind. And I love this graph as sort of a mental image of like the areas we want to be. And I'm sure y'all are familiar if you've ever been like in a deep coding session, particularly during capstone, we just sort of lose track of time. And it's because like it's a hard problem, but like your skill sets are like right there with it. And so I really like that. I talked about Realm, it's compounding, right? It builds and it stacks on each other, and then it's creating a positive feedback loop. And Lester can definitely speak to this. And I'm sure some of the, like Zach's using a little bit of Realm and Rocky's using Realm as well. The impacts are almost immediate. Like your ability to just start making connections and recalling things is, you get annoying. And I'm sure like if you've had a conversation with me where I'm just doing what I'm doing right now, it can be annoying. So you might lose some friends, but you're joining a cult, so you got that going for you. Cool. So fancy boy importing. So I go a little bit above and beyond. And I use a couple of services. So the first thing I use is Instapaper. And if y'all are familiar with like Pocket just like that. So you can see I have all these different notes that are imported in here that I haven't done anything with yet, but that's okay. The point is getting it in there, and progressively as I go through and make connections, linking things together. So this is Instapaper. It's a lot like Pocket or any other. There's multiple apps out there. So I can get an article here, and this is what I was talking about, Farnham Street. This is a wonderful article on mental models. Highly recommend. I can bring that into my Instapaper, refresh it. I usually will read on they have an app, so I'll use an iPad and I'll just highlight. So I can go through here. If something's interesting to me, I want to double tap on it. Like the map's not territory. Love that as a mental model, circuit competence, even better. So if I highlight that, I select that, it's highlighted. Then Readwise is sort of what kind of brings it all together with Realm. So I can add basically all my highlights from Kindle, all my highlights from Instapaper, iBooks, anything practically. Medium, right? And if you guys follow Towards Data Science, they have some unbelievable articles that just like really help you hit the basics. And reading those articles, highlighting it, getting that information in your Realm, so then you have that as a reference for you when you're actually like going through. It's so much better to be able to actually go and see your own way of understanding something than have to go figure something out on Stack Overflow. And that's ostensibly what you could do, is almost be building your own Stack Overflow for yourself. So yeah, so I import this stuff in. And basically what I do also is in Readwise, they have Roam export. And so I can actually like kind of go in and sort of take care of some of the metadata to help me in my workflow inside of Roam. And that's kind of what I did here. So you see I have this inbox tag there. So when I go into Roam, I have this inbox and 71. So I got 71 things to do. I'm definitely not a believer in inbox zero, or maybe I am, but I just have never gotten there and I don't think I ever will. Maybe, yeah, probably not. But so yeah, so you can see I have these things in here. So Fortune's formula, let's go back there. So I kind of already showed, I've already gone through, but like I can go through this, there's more things I could link. So I could just highlight that and make sure that I'm connecting that to the Bernoulli thing. Going through, there's more Bernoulli, all sorts of stuff. So if like I saw something, so I know in the long run, bet your beliefs, there was something good. Yeah, I don't know. So I could go through here though and tag different things and make connections, and yeah, so we got that. The other thing that we could do, and this is something that Readwise has the ability, is I can take a picture of so I have a bullet journal, if anyone is familiar with that. And so I much like with Roam, when I'm feeling inspired, I'll write in this. And so I haven't gone through the process of getting everything in here, obviously. But it's something sort of my mindset is sort of based on there's a bunch of YouTube videos, and Nate Ellison, he actually lives here in Austin, has some great tutorials, and he helps people convert their Evernote to Roam. And his sort of methodology is just only take what you need, and then if you need it, bring it over. And so that's sort of what my philosophy is. If I know something I have in here is connected, I'll be bringing it over, and then sort of sporadically kind of bringing it over as OCR gets a little bit better, because the OCR didn't work for my handwriting, which you'll see here momentarily. So it would take a picture, it takes the picture of this and it will sort of highlight the things, but it just wasn't very clear. So I ended up just typing some stuff in here. So one thing I'm not going to go over this idea of the mental palace, but if you're familiar with the mental palace or method of loci or loci, I don't know how to pronounce it, but so this is cool. This is an embedded iframe. So I actually just have the website in here. That's how I had my Google Calendar in here as well. Tweets, you can just embed and they'll just load, but websites, you'll need to use an iframe. So this is a Wikipedia article on the method of loci, and it's basically just picture your childhood bedroom and then picture the things that are in it, and then make weird, crazy images of the thing that you're trying to remember and place it on top of your bed, and then link that to on top of your childhood desk or something like that. That's the gist of it. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that and kind of plant that seed, because I'll be getting back to that. So yeah, but like this is a journal I have, and you can see I have some thoughts. So this is a cool thing too. So optimistic concurrency control. I just had a note on this on a random, what was it, Thursday in June of 2019. I don't know where I got it from or whatever, but it kind of reminds me of Git, right? So I'm reading in something, I'm performing some logic on it, transforming something, I'm double checking everything, and then I'm committing it. So I think that's interesting, and I kind of want to play around with that, and I want to see it in a more visual way. How can I do that? Well, glad you asked, Justin, because Rome has an awesome method or feature called diagram. So I can almost make a flowchart inside of Rome. And it's pretty easy, hopefully. So diagram. So I do the backslash. If I hit diagram, boom, I'm gonna click away and then check it out. I have this. So I go in here and like, let's say, so obviously you see also it's not ordered. So I could use this as a check on my learning, right? Read, logic, changes, double check, commit, right? And then I can, I think it's control, and I can connect these together, and boom, boom, boom. And then I have a little flow chart that I can sort of play around with and add things to it, take it away, make more notes inside of here, right? Like, what does this mean? Whatever. So pretty cool little tool to just be playing around with. Notes. Yeah, cool. Let's get back here. Let's open that. That's a shift click. I guess I could dive into a couple of the other features. If I hit command comma, I'll dive into the actual, or actually it's command period. It'll take me into the actual cell, like the actual bullet. And then if I hit command comma, it'll take me back out. Just a little feature. I already mentioned the command open bracket, command close bracket. So if I want to like bold this, I could do command B, highlight would be command H, strike through would be command Y. If I wanted to make this, there's like, I don't remember the commands, but if I click on this little thing here, if I'd hit control, click, control, not command. So some of the, it takes a little while to get used to if you're using a Mac. But then I have a couple other features here that I'm not really gonna get into, but like for instance, header. So like I can change the header, I can change the justification, I can view it as a document. So if you don't like the bullet look, if you don't like all the lines, so let's go back to my outline here. So like if I don't like these lines, I could right or control click on that and view as document. So I guess that didn't really do much. But a numbered list, there you go. And then I'm a bullet guy. I've said that many times. So I love the bullets. Cool. So let's get into the graph. So this is pretty cool. This is the graph of my Rome. And we haven't gotten into the graphs yet, but it'll be cool for y'all to have this as a visual when we actually get into graphs, and then like maybe hopefully make some connections directly related to this. But you'll see like I have these nodes here that are massively connected. So I can kind of pull these out and kind of get an idea of what they are. So I know one of these is going to be a day. I think this is going to be it. So, and also I can highlight it to see all the connections. So yeah, September 29th. I think I got Rome started on September 27th, and then I imported all of my Evernote into Rome on that day. So that's why there's all those connections, and it's a mess. So we won't get into that. Then this one is probably Readwise in this, November 12th. No, that's today. So obviously did a lot of stuff today. Let's see. Author. Okay, so that's going to relate to Readwise full title. So these are like the attributes that I have when I'm importing in. So obviously those are going to be heavily connected. But as you can see, I can go in here and kind of see all of my pages, all the different connections. You could get lost in this thing. So pretty fun, cool feature of Rome that kind of lets you literally visualize your thinking in 2D. Remember that. 2D. Okay, so space repetition. So this is really what is most powerful about Roam and how it will directly relate to you as you finish up this DSI and as you move forward in your career in data science. If you're familiar with this idea of space repetition, it's a way of learning and sort of locking things into long-term memory by just keep constantly sort of like repetitively viewing it in blocks of time. So I have a little article here that talks about how you use it inside of Roam specifically. And it's the delta function. And I kind of showed it if I right click or control click, it's this little triangle here. It's a little confusing. So I'm not going to dive into that. I'm just going to show you a real simple way that you can do this if you wanted. And it's list comprehension. So we should be familiar with list comprehension. I found this Medium post and brought this in. And I can actually have blocks of code in here, right? Which is cool. So I can have this list comprehension. So this is level 1. This is the basic. And if I want to like kind of get that sort of going for myself, I can do this and do date picker. And let's say I just want to refresh that next week. Cool. And then I want to move to level 2. So I'll just do that, date picker. And let's say the 19th, so I'll do the 24th, right? So then on those days when I'm going, so I'm on my daily page on the 19th, I have this link right here. I can go down here, I can check that out. I can either play around with it in here, or if I want to, and I have VS Code open, right? I can take this into VS Code, play around with it, and it's a nice little warm up. Part of my plan was to have I know there's like the 100 NumPy exercises and the 100 pandas exercises. I want to get that in here and then just sort of like randomly have those things pop up just to keep things sharp. So here's something that's kind of cool that is related to this, interleaving. So this is a word that I could not think of for the life of me. And so I'm going to have a little example here. So I have a picture of my journal from May of 2011. And I'm trying to figure out this word. I couldn't figure it out. October 26th, so a couple of days ago, I finally figured out the word interleaving. And it's basically this concept of like when you're playing basketball, if you actually are trying to shoot threes, the best thing to do is shoot 3 feet in front of the 3-point line and 3 feet behind the 3-point line. And that's better than if you just shot right at the 3-point line. And that applies to a lot of different things, in particularly to learning. So that's sort of what spaced repetition is in relation to Roam. So this is a book inside of Roam. So this is a book on ergodicity, which is kind of a new branch of economics, a new way of looking at economics. And this is a book. So here's just a straight up book in Roam. And so this is a book it's the first book released in Roam. And I think it came out November 1st. But here's something kind of interesting, right? Like, look, Kelly criterion. So this directly relates to my other book, right? The Kelly criterion directly relates to Fortune's formula, which hopefully I can get there. Oh, yeah, so you see, so I'm here on this Kelly criterion page. I have this brand new book, and I'm already making connections to a page that I read when I was 17 years old, like a while ago. So that's just kind of cool. And it's a little messy to read the book at first. So actually, let's go back to the book. He sort of has this like how to read a Roam book. So it kind of helps you out. And now, all right, so one of the reasons I'm so excited about Roam is because it directly relates to sort of my third capstone. And we haven't gotten into topic modeling or LDA specifically, but topic modeling is basically just a way for you to find like hidden topics in a corpus of documents. So basically, like if I have a bunch of articles, right, and I basically get word counts for every single word in those articles and make that into a matrix, I can run it through these models and find X amount of topics and sort of find keywords associated with those topics. So um, auto tag and connect things, right? So like, just like here, I'm not really auto tagging. I'm putting that. I could run it through a model, get like 10 keywords, and just have automatically these latent connections happening in my thinking. And so that's like really interesting and exciting for me. And that's something I'm actually working on right now. Checking the time. Okay, got a little bit more time. So then mental model, right? I talked about this mental palace. I want you guys to sort of think about Rome virtual mind palace. Okay. So right now what's happening is this is a new plugin that you can get. It's a new extension. It's the Rome graph, but in 3D. So remember I said 2D, this is 3D, right? Pretty cool. I haven't played with it yet, but I'm kind of excited too. I'm holding off because I feel like I'll just get lost in there for a while and kind of I had to put this thing together basically. Hopefully soonish. So the creator of Rome, he actually tweeted that the mobile app is a priority for them right now. So that's coming soon. This is just a screenshot of what's going on inside of Oculus VR, which I had not seen in a while. And so now just combine basically that 3D thing of Rome with Oculus VR. And that's sort of like something I'm very keen on kind of getting in that space. So that's it. So also I have a bunch of references down here. And what I was able to do is export this page as a markdown file. And I am going to Slack that to the channel. And then anyone that's here that's not on our Slack, I can send this to you guys. Shoot me an email. And I will email to y'all if you would like. Actually, also, I have access here as well that I can put in the chat if you guys. I'll put it in the chat here in a sec. But questions? Who's got questions? What do y'all think?
Justin, you mentioned a lot of amazing things. What are the two most important things if I'm just starting that I should just focus on?
Great question. So it's the basics, right? It's literally that tweet. It's actually two things. First, you gotta like want to do it, right? You have to have a desire. So for y'all that are taking this DSI right now, you've already made that commitment, right? You've already said like, hey, I'm into learning. This is a tool that will just help augment you do that. So it's making the commitment. You're like, you know what? I'm just gonna like, and there's this concept called habit stacking, and it's like I'm already doing a lot of these things. I'm just not capturing it. So how can I most frictionlessly capture the things I'm already doing and getting it sort of in this database? Because it's literally, that's all this is. This is based upon Firebase, which is a Google Cloud Platform database. And I honestly think it's hash tables. Someone, maybe Dan could correct me there, but I think it's utilizing hash tables, and everything's basically a hash. Like if you, I don't know if I'll be able to get into it very well, but everything is a hash pretty much. And that's how everything's sort of linked together. But basically the desire to do it, and then brackets and tabs. That's it. Get in there, just start dumping things. As you are using it, like you will start structuring it in the way that you think, and it will like kind of fit for you. But there's also a ton of tutorials down there that I have in the references. So there's a Slack channel, which I can show real quick. And this is actually kind of cool. I have this up right here. This is how I learned about the spaced repetition at first, and actually found that article that I linked to. So the Slack channel is a great resource. If there's a YouTube channel from beginner to superstar, unbelievable. Basically, if you watch that, you'll have everything that you need to know. These are the Twitter. So that's the founder. That's the actual Rome Research Twitter. There's a group called Rome Brain. There's hashtag Rome Cult. There's the Reddit. This will get you to the student discount to apply for that. Nate Ellison is a guy who has a pretty expensive course, but he also has like a lot of good content on YouTube as well. I mentioned him. He helps people transfer Evernote over to Roam. So if you're already Evernote user, this is a beginner's guide. These are some hotkeys, article on space reposition, and then Zettelkasten, which actually Zach might be able to mention. And I'm curious, Zach, because you're using Roam. So if you want to like kind of talk about some of the things that are most interesting to you and kind of hooked you.
I think the most interesting is the Latex writing, being able to write equations and mathematical equations and adding code blocks, and then adding links to other pages. With data science specifically, it kind of helps see the underlying connections with everything. Like, I don't have a good example right now, but there's just so many things that are going to come up that we talked about in statistics that come up with future models that you can kind of see like how everything is connected and how everything interlinks together. I'm a pretty basic user compared to Justin, but I'm a big believer.
I'm trying to get to this page. Yeah, so you mentioned also, thanks Zach, that was good. You mentioned the Latex, and I believe, yeah, there we go. So like you can just do Latex in here and it'll show nice and pretty your formulas. So that's really useful, particularly like I know Juliana has a lot of her lectures. You just copy and paste it literally right in here and have that formula in there. And like you could use space repetition, right? So this is a formula that I want to remember, which it is. I could do this right now. Well, I just went in deeper, but Control Delta. So now that's going to automatically put that on my tomorrow's page. So, and then you'll see this math kind of happening, but basically that's like, it's skip one day, then add two. And now it's going to be 3. And so then I'll add 2 more. So then it'll be 5, then it'll add 2 more, then it'll be 7. So that's how the space repetition kind of works. But that's a little, like, if that doesn't make sense, don't worry, it will eventually. Are there any other questions? Comments? Is this interesting? Does this seem useful to y'all?
I think it's pretty cool, man. I appreciate you sharing it with us.
I guess, yeah, if one of you found this useful, it was worth it for me, but.
I think this is very interesting. I'm actually trying to switch over from Evernote, so I'm for sure going to take a look at Roam.
Cool.
I was on Evernote, Brandon. So like I just brain dumped everything and nothing was connected and it didn't make any sense to me, especially when I started data science, the data immersive. And now that I brought it over, it's made so much sense. And like a perfect example is I did the stand down for MLE, maximum likelihood estimation, and I thought I did not understand it at all, like last cohort. And then during the lecture that Juliana gave, I was filling out my MLE page while she was giving the lecture and just copying, pasting from the Jupyter notebook. And then at the end of that, before I gave the stand down, I totally understood MLE. So.
Cool. Well, I guess if y'all have any questions or if y'all are interested and you want to hit me up on Slack, you got my contact info.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justin. Yeah, like he said, if anybody's interested in using this, reach out to Justin directly. He's going to be the